It's time for Media Meltdowns. And has anyone checked in on MSNBC host Rachel Maddow, the left-wing host who's been complaining about Donald Trump for a decade now? Well, in her latest rant about the democratically elected president, she discovers that it's August 2025 and every day the sun rises and the sun sets.
We have crossed a line. We are in a place we did not want to be, but we are there. The thing we were all warning about for the last few years is not coming, it is here. We are in it. This is what it likes, it turns out. This is what it's like, right? It's August, it's a Monday, every day the sun rises and the sun sets, and there are, sports and movies, and there are new hit songs, there are scandals here and there are crimes. There's everybody's personal quotient of family drama and health worries and money worries and falling in and out of love and in and out of faith. Life has not stopped, and none of our personal lives have stopped.
Well spotted, Rachel Maddow. Inspiring stuff. You can really see why she's on an annual salary of $25 million a year. But as you can see, this was just the warm-up before she insists that we're living under a dictatorship and we should be melodramatic about it.
Also, at the same time, life in the United States is profoundly changing, is profoundly different than it was even 6 months ago. Because we do now live in a country that has an authoritarian leader in charge. We have a consolidating dictatorship in our country. And it sounds melodramatic to say it, I know. But just go with that for a minute, right? Think in melodramatic terms. Think in cinematic terms.
Rachel Maddow, we're up to almost 200 days of Trump 2.0 and democracy has not ended. Joining us now is CJ Pearson, RNC Youth Advisory Council co-chair. CJ, it is great to see you again. Rachel Maddow is struggling big time. She seems to think America is living under a dictatorship. Can you help her out?
Under a dictatorship, I don't really think she'd be allowed to go in that unhinged rant about President Trump. But of course, liberals make their own rules. They make their own definitions. In the same way they can't define a woman, how dare we expect them to actually know what a real dictatorship is, right? I think the only thing Rachel Maddow needs to find is probably a prescription for Xanax, because she needs to calm down. And to be quite frank, this is exactly why no one can take the left seriously anymore. They live in this constant state of just absolute anxiety that it's absolutely not unfounded in any sense or sort of reality. And it's sad.
Well, the Howard Stern show on Sirius XM is set to be cancelled. Now, he was reportedly on a contract of $100 million over 5 years. He's previously said that he hated anyone who voted for Donald Trump and demanded that they stop listening to his radio show, and turns out they did. And he also had this charming message to anyone who was hesitant about the COVID jab.
We're going to stop putting up with the idiots in this country and just say, it's mandatory to get vaccinated. F them, f their freedom. I want my freedom to live.
And here he is interviewing a barely functioning Joe Biden, absolutely gushing over him.
I know you'd be a good father to the country, and I want to thank you for providing a calming influence, an organized administration post-COVID, getting that vaccine out, getting NATO, getting us to feel comfortable, standing up to Putin. I don't know what people are looking for in a president, or maybe it's that people don't feel like they're getting enough or something. I don't know what it is, but I'll give you your greatest hits.
What stands out to me looking at that clip is just how distracted Joe Biden looks there. Remember, we used to see so many images. He just looks so confused, not really sure if he knows what is going on. But looking at the comments of that clip that's been written up online, people say that he's worse than what's on MSNBC. What's your reaction?
I think you're exactly right. And I think not only the people spoke, but so did the free markets, right? This guy was paid $100 million to spew unfounded lies and to gaslight America about the health and mental acuity of President Biden. And I think people were sick and tired of it, and they were frankly fed up. And he's gone the way of Colbert. He's gone the way of Jim Acosta. And I got to tell you, Gabriella, this is exactly what I voted for these people in the media who have lied to the American people for almost a decade now about the state of affairs in this country. country to finally be given an unceremonious exit. And I got to say, I think a lot of people are happier today than they were when Howard Stern was on the radio spewing his nonsense, lies, and vitriol.
Well, speaking of people with severe TDS, Jasmine Crockett says that Donald Trump has a problem with people of color. Listen to this.
This is a person that has a problem with people of color, period. I don't care how many black MAGA out there with their hats. I want to be clear, when we look at who it is that he's kicking out of this country is people of color. When we look at who he always disrespects and says that they are low IQ, even though when you look at his cabinet, this has to be the most incompetent cabinet we have ever had in the history of this country.
And I doubt you got a lot of pushback from CNN there.
Not at all. But that's, of course, part of the course for that failing network. But here's what I'll tell you about how President Trump cares and treats black people. I'm someone who's been to the White House on many occasions. I've been to Mar-a-Lago, his personal home, on many occasions. If the man didn't like black people, I don't know if that'd be the case. But let's not talk about just that. Let's talk about what this president has done for the black community. This is a president who delivered criminal justice reform. The first black president didn't even do that. This is a president who's invested billions of dollars into historically black colleges and universities here in the United States. This is a president who continues to deliver for black and brown communities every single day, not because of the color of their skin, because he believes that a rising tide lifts all boats. And so when Jasmine Crockett goes on national television and spews her hate and vitriol, all she's doing is exposing her lack of knowledge about these critical policy wins. And if she would be more concerned about actually serving the people of her district and making a fool of herself on national television, I think the people of Texas would be a lot more excited to have her as their congressman.
Yeah, well said. Now, Trump has announced that Apple is investing $600 billion in the United States, which is the largest investment that Apple has ever made in the US. The tech giant had already planned to invest $768 billion, so this takes its total investment to close to $100 billion. Now, this is going to create around 20,000 new jobs in America. And CJ, this is really what we're seeing as a result of Trump's controversial tariffs. Just in a short period of time, we are seeing major plans for increased manufacturing in America.
Well, 4 words for you: promises made, promises kept. This is a president who ran on the idea of returning American industry right back here at home. And this is a thing that's actually going to create incredible jobs for blue-collar Americans in the great state of Kentucky. With that, a part of this pledge, Tim Cook also said they were going to make all the iPhone screens and things of that nature right here in America. And this is exactly what President Trump said would happen. And look at, Lord behold, he's delivering on.
He is. It's amazing to see. Now, in the wake of a former Doge worker being beaten by gang members on the streets of Washington, D.C., Donald Trump has indicated that he is considering taking control of the district to stamp out crime. He said that he's considering using the National Guard. Take a listen.
Look at that. In fact, the lawyers are already studying it. We have to run D.C. This has to be the best run place in the country, not the worst run place in the country. And it has so much potential, and we're going to take care of it. You're going to be safe. You're going to be safe walking down streets. You're not going to get mugged.
CJ, what are your thoughts on this?
I spent a lot of time in Washington, D.C., so I got to say thank you to President Trump for prioritizing making sure that our nation's capital is not another third world country. But of course, under Democrat leadership like Mayor Muriel Bowser, we've seen it decline into that. And so I think, of course, America's national capital should, of course, be a shining city on a hill, just like our country ought to be. And every thug, every so-called youth that wants to torment folks on our streets, they should be held accountable, put in prison, the key thrown away, because that's the only way we are going to solve this problem.
Look, as we know, Donald Trump gets a pretty hard time from the media. Some of the criticism, I'm sure, is absolutely fair, but I don't think he gets enough credit for the humour that he brings to the job. Here is the 79-year-old president on the roof of the White House taking questions from reporters.
Are you considering more renovations, sir?
Are you going to build up?
Hi, sir.
There is no one else like him.
We don't deserve him, to be quite frank with you, right? We went from a president who struggled to walk up the stairs to Air Force One to a president who's now taking questions from the roof of the White House just for fun. It's incredible to see, and it's a reminder of the fact that it is night and day in America right now. And And to be quite frank, it's mourning in America right now. I think for a long time, we didn't have this experience. And I think the American people welcome a president with the energy and the passion and zeal to deliver for the American people and to implement his America First agenda.
For sure. Now, construction for a new ballroom inside the White House is set to begin in September. It's going to seat more than 600 people, and it means that they won't need to put up a tent when they host state dinners and other functions. But Chuck Schumer, well, he's against it.
The White House announced construction of a $200 million White House ballroom that will begin in September. A $200 million ballroom. Where'd this money come from? Did Congress appropriate it? I don't think so. It's almost like Doge was never about waste at all.
President Trump and other donors have generously committed to donating the funds necessary to build this approximately $200 million structure.
That's right. The $200 million ballroom will be covered by Donald Trump and other donors. And Trump also doesn't get enough credit for donating his entire presidential salary.
No, not at all. And, I would tell Chuck Schumer to put his money where his mouth is, but his money simply isn't as long as President Trump's. This is a president who is, if he wants to improve the White House, he has said long and has long held this fact that he will actually foot the bill himself. He's donated his presidential salary, as you noted, to the White House Historical Association. This is a man who absolutely just does as he says. And I understand that's rare in Washington, but it's not rare in Donald Trump's White House.
Finally, I want to ask you about aliens. A bit left field, but Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard sat down with Miranda Devine on her podcast, Podforce One, and Tulsi was asked about aliens. Are they really out there? This is what she had to say.
So, is there anything? We've had some declassification of some very strange videos that look like they are, unidentified flying objects. Is there anything in the files that you think you could find or you have found?
Nothing that I'm prepared to talk about today.
So watch this space.
Say what?
Watch this space.
We are I'm just going to say this. We're continuing to look for the truth and share that truth with the American people.
CJ, what did you make of this?
Well, as someone who's watched The View once or twice, I would say that was all the proof of extraterrestrial life that I needed. But, it's interesting to see Director Gabbard speak on this issue. And I trust this administration to, of course, get to the bottom of this. I think there are a lot of valid questions surrounding this issue. And I believe that this administration will continue to act in the same sort of radical transparency that have gotten them to where they are 6 months post-inauguration.
CJ Pearson, RNC Youth Advisory Council co-chair, thanks so much for joining us on Power Hour. Always great to talk to you.
Good to see you.